What it do, y'all? Be like, you already know what time it is. What up, world? It's your host with the most. Meet the bragging boss. All I do is give a toast to the real folks. With them pay weight, the real weight. And I'm trying to figure out what's really good out shit, man. You see, this whole deception of an election, where there's people we're gonna, you know, people got to be bipartisan or whatnot. We got to go for the left or the right. When it's all a part of the same equation, right? It's always been like that throughout history, you know? The Republicans, the Democrats, the loyalists, and the pilgrim or whatever you want to call them. You know what I mean? Now they want to say Trump is a savior, you know, some type of good individual. How in the hell is that reality? We gotta ask ourselves. Every time there's something going on in this world that's out of the norm or messed up, we look at the captain of the ship, right? Because if we're all in this together, we're riding the ship. It's like the Titanic, you know? How convenient that was that, you know? When the ship went down, the motherfuckers, you know, playing the violin, ready for the ship to go down. Motherfuckers gasping for air. Motherfuckers getting on rafts and rafting away, you know? But all in all, the big ship that we're in, you're always gonna look to the captain. You know what I'm saying? So he has a responsibility. So now we have Donald Trump doing so much underhanded bullshit that makes you want to fucking puke. But all they could have got on him was an impeachment trial, which got botched for reasons, you know, that has to do with you know, more politics. Where people act like Donald Trump is the utmost realist president there is, you know, because he stands on his two. He releases people out of prison. He just basically does what he wants, right? These are some of the things that Donald Trump does, you know what I'm saying? Because a piece of shit is always going to be a piece of shit. But how is it this come into play? I mean, now we're at a stage where everybody's treated like a communist down there. Let's look at it.
He is going forward with a plan.
I'm a little technical difficulty, but we're back at it. So we're gonna show y'all a little bit about, you know what I'm saying, what's going on here with Trump, because he's a piece of shit. But this is your president-elect stopping people's motherfucking food food stamps. You know what I'm saying? So once you stop the food stamps,
Trump administration now
give everybody an allowance.
with a plan to kick nearly 700,000 people off food stamps. The administration formalizing a rule that makes it harder for states to waive federal standards around who can qualify for the food stamp program, which is now known as SNAP. On a call with reporters today, Agricultural Secretary Sonny Perdue said the change was designed to both save money and, quote, restore the dignity of work to food stamp recipients. What it boils down to is the government saying that in many areas, if you cannot find a job, then you just can't get food stamps. The USDA says the work requirement rule would save the government $5.5 billion over 5 years. That is a bit more than $1 billion a year. Just for context here, the Trump administration has authorized $16 billion this year alone to make welfare payments to agribusiness affected by Trump's trade war. The rule announced today represents just one phase of Trump's planned cuts for the nation's 36.4 million food stamp recipients. If and when 2 other initiatives take effect, the Urban Institute, which studies this sort of thing, estimates the measures would together cut 3.7 million beneficiaries from the SNAP program. Critics say this is a completely unnecessary attack on, of course, Americans and their ability to feed themselves. Joining me now is one of those critics, Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow of Michigan, the top Democrat on the Senate Agriculture Committee. Senator, why do you oppose this move by the administration?
Well, Chris, first I want to thank you for lifting this up. It's a busy day, a lot going on. I think they hoped it might slide by without a lot of attention. So thank you. Our analysis today actually shows, while they say it's 700,000, it's really closer to 1 million people. And what they are targeting are folks that are seasonal workers, part-time folks. Everybody goes out to the mall during the holidays and gets a job, but then the job goes away in January. Or a waitress or waiter that can't control their own wages. Or somebody in northern Michigan who is working part-time during the summer season, or during the winter season. So It's people in and out of the economy, and they're tightening things up. And I have to say that they're rejecting what we did in the Farm Bill on a bipartisan basis. We voted this policy down, and there are 47 of us. There was a letter with Lisa Murkowski and myself who sent a letter to the USDA saying, don't do this. And yet they are proceeding anyway.
Okay, so that was going to my next question. My understanding was this was litigated in the Farm Bill. There was a plan to write this into the United States government. Our Congress was not to do this. How can they then do it?
Well, it's like everything else they're doing, where we have to look for a way not to push back.
Y'all see now?
Senate, it was totally
so they were going to push this bill one way or another. Look at it now.
But you know what it did have in it, by the way, is job training programs, which I really wish that they would implement. Because if we want to help lift people up, it's not by punishing them, by taking away what is an average of $161 a month. And so instead of doing that, we can lift people up and help them with job training. So what we're figuring out now, since they proceeded, even though we have all kinds of advocates, all of us that send in letters saying, don't do this, then we have to determine if there's some other way we can stop this. There is a mechanism to block a rule that we're now looking at.
Just in terms of the politics of this, I mean, there are some things that they do that they seem to be catering to a sort of political base, or they think there's no constituency or no mass constituency on the Hill for this, as far as I can tell, correct?
Right. Well, this is just the welfare politics. I mean, that's all it is the old, people don't want to work, and they're getting all this money for food. They're buying steaks at the grocery store. It's that old story of the woman who's coming in with 13 kids in a Cadillac and buying steaks. And I wish I could find her. I've looked for her all over the country, and I can't find her, by the way. But that's it. It's just going to that, this bias that people have that somehow we shouldn't help folks.
Well, here's the thing that I can't quite get my head around. So, people should have to work. They shouldn't get something for nothing. I mean, the president's writing $16 billion checks to farmers. And we should be, so we say farmers, largely big agribusiness concerns are getting the biggest chunk of that to make up for the trade war that he himself started. And there's money for that somehow. Where'd that money come from?
Well, this is incredibly frustrating. First of all, we have more accountability in the nutrition program in SNAP than they are now using for these farm payments. We put in the Farm Bill payment limits that you can we want to support farmers. I support farmers strongly in Michigan. It's our second largest industry. But we put parameters around accountability, payment limits, of which they are completely blowing through. They're not even following the Farm Bill accountability on these payments. Right. And I just put out a report with the Senate Democrats on the Agriculture and Nutrition Committee showing the majority of payments aren't even going to the folks that are hurt the most. Majority of the payments are going to the South. They're going to folks that commodities, big commodities that have not been impacted, not the Midwest that are losing their markets. So this whole thing, it's not fair. It boggles the mind.
Sure doesn't sound fair to me. Senator Debbie Stabenow of Michigan, thank you for being with me tonight. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC.
Well, there you go. There you have it.
The videos are coming out. You can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this
So
list
your
to see
boy-
lots of other great videos.
Your boy, Trump got what he wanted, right? Obviously. Didn't take the food stamps away. But I guess all those people are not gonna get their food stamps in a hurry, right? So let's look at it at a whole nother level. Connect the dots. So the whole world is at a standstill. And he said he wants packed churches by Easter. What do you think he's fooling? So then you gotta look at it like, oh, they was planning something all along, wasn't it? There ain't no way Trump didn't know that he was gonna get caught up in a situation where he couldn't handle it, you know? So just like all the other Republicans before him, who's the puppeteer behind him, you know? Y'all need to ask ourselves, who's the puppeteer behind him? So this upcoming election is officially stopped. Okay? Ain't nothing good showing President Trump's Corona task force. All of a sudden you got a task force again. Just show 'em. Yeah, he was cutting funding before. It just goes to show, you know, what type of individual we're dealing with. We're dealing with, cutthroat capitalists. You know what I mean? So when you deal with a cutthroat capitalist, you're dealing with somebody that really doesn't have any empathy or doesn't have any moral attachment to anything. As long as he gets his cut, he's on to bigger and better adventures. So I don't understand what he's on.
We will take a look at that. You know, that's actually the easiest of all things if you look.
Trump administration announced today it is going forward with a plan to kick nearly 700,000
So now, if
people
Trump
food stamps. The administration
keeps everybody on this little
states to waive federal standards around who can qualify
little
for the food stamp
stimulus
program, which is
package
now
that
known
they
as
have.
SNAP. A call with reporters today, Agricultural Secretary Sonny Perdue said the change
how
was
long?
designed to save money and quote restore the dignity of work to food stamp recipients. What it boils down to is the government saying that in many areas, if you cannot find a job, then you just
I
can't get
feel like
food
it's
stamps.
gonna change the
The
world.
USDA says the work
worse.
requirement rule would save the government $5.5 billion over 5 years. That is a bit more than $1 billion a year. Just for context here, the Trump administration has authorized
So we already
$16 billion
heard about this.
this year alone to make welfare.
You want to support Rollabot Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk Fan Club. Every dollar that you give to us.
Oh hell no. Ain't gonna pay him. But that's what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go to it a little bit more, but I got a little more in store for y'all. So just look at it, man. If Trump wanted to cut the food stamps for 700,000 Americans, you think he gives a fuck about this little stimulus package? I mean, it might have everybody for the short term, but for the long term, it's gonna turn into something ugly. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta check this out. Look at it very closely. You know what I'm saying? Because Trump is on some bullshit. You know what I mean? Actually, let's take a look at it. Somebody gotta explain this shit.
We begin in Washington, where the White House and Congress reached a deal early this morning on the economic rescue package that dwarfs the entire national budget of the United States. The stock market soared on hopes for the legislation, its best day since the Great Depression, and our senior national correspondent Terry Moran starts us off with the details on the deal sparking so much hope. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, George. Well, they closed this deal late into the night in an atmosphere of crisis, punctuated by partisan bickering. But they got the job done, and this bill will, as you say,
Punctuated by partisan bickering.
Businesses and
See that shit?
who are getting absolutely hammered by the coronavirus pandemic.
They knew they were gonna bring this shit forward.
We have a deal.
You know, the economy is as big as it's ever been, man.
Announced that Congress and the White House had
So
reached
they're
an
gonna say,
agreement
because
on
of
an
Trump
unprecedented
bringing the
$2
economy so
trillion
great,
spending package.
we got enough money to give everybody.
Into our nation.
The rescue bill designed to offset the crippling economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic, providing over $800 billion in support for businesses big and small, boosting unemployment benefits, and sending one-time payments of $1,200 directly to most American taxpayers.
To all Americans, I say, help is on the way. Big help and quick help.
The legislation could now be passed and enacted within days as Congress works to deliver critical financial support during this crisis. Welcome news to laid-off workers who won't get a paycheck this week.
The stimulus check would definitely help with my mortgage as well as our 2 car payments. It would definitely help our family.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says that
See,
bill
they're
will be
getting
voted on
everybody
in the Senate today. Then it goes
inducted
back to
into
the House where it's
the
expected
mindset
to
of,
pass quickly. President Trump
yeah,
has
I'm
made
just gonna get my check. I'm
sign
gonna
that
get my
bill right away
stimulus
so the
check.
money should start flowing very
Work for the
soon.
government.
And it's going to go to individuals.
Then they're gonna have government programs for you.
And this fund for the businesses, though, is going to now come with some real strings attached.
Just
Yes,
like
one of the
communism.
Democrats' major sticking points was that there was a
So is it
$500
the free
billion,
market?
half a $1 trillion
What are we really
bailout
doing
bill for
here,
the
man?
big businesses hit very hard. Democrats wanted transparency on that. They got it. An oversight committee. Also, there's a line in there that Democrats wanted where businesses controlled by the president, the vice president, members of Congress, and heads of the executive department, those are cabinet members, are prohibited from receiving federal funds. This is to make sure that none of the Trump hotels get it. President Trump has been talking about
Why can't the Trump hotels get it?
are getting it, but he's
Don't
not
they have
permitted.
employees?
Hi, everyone.
That's
This is
some
Tom
bullshit
Robinson.
fluff
Thanks for
that
checking
they
out
give.
the
You
YouTube
see
channel.
the
If you'd like
bullshit
to get
fluff
more
that
video show highlights
they
of
give
what's
to the
live
fucking
on coverage,
reporters.
click on the right over here
Oh,
to subscribe
such a
to our
great
channel,
deal.
and don't forget to
That went
download
on
the
late
AC
into
News
the
app.
fuck all that. That's bullshit. They're planning this shit. And now the plan has implemented. Operation. Give these motherfuckers a check and tell them to stay in it. Good. It's implemented. So there you have it, folks. a whole lot of game to play. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm gonna check y'all next time. Man. I know this one's a little choppy, a little real in the veil. But remember, yeah, how they feel. Good day. Wow. Peace.